Hi guys, this is something I haven't done in a very long time. In fact, from memory, maybe even 7 or 8 years. But since my games collection has expanded and changed in many ways since then, I thought it might be fun to do another games show and tell, just to take a break from the gameplay videos I normally make. On a technical front, I hope my setup holds up, because it's my first time using my decent camera for this channel, and I just kind of improvised a setup, so I hope it holds out and nothing stops working for no reason. Mainly the camera. Just have to keep an eye on it, that it's actually still recording. But yeah, I don't want to ramble too much before I begin, so let's start with this first game, which is, I think, the first PlayStation game or games I ever bought together with my PS3 back in 2013, I think. It's Assassin's Creed 1 and 2 combined. I remember way back when Assassin's Creed 1 was just out, I was always a bit envious because I was never able to play it, because I didn't have a console yet and my PC just wasn't good enough at the time. So yeah, I was pretty excited to start playing this, and back then I really enjoyed them. I kind of lost touch with Assassin's Creed games over the years because, I don't know, they just felt a bit too samey in a way. Maybe that's not really fair, because I only played 1, 2, and 3, and a glimpse of Black Flag from a friend, or at a friend's place. But yeah, I just haven't really felt the urge to get back into Assassin's Creed games, because I think they're not really my type of game anymore. The only reason I still own this, really, along with the next game, is that when I was taking a bunch of PS3 and PS4 games in to trade, they actually wouldn't take this one, because I'm not sure what the reason was, but I think it was just that there was no demand for it anymore, so they couldn't sell it even used. This one along with this one. Maybe I can make piles so the frame isn't too empty. Apologies about the suboptimal lighting, but with the big room light on, there was a lot of glare. But with our cozy lighting, maybe it's a bit too dark, so I apologize. Yeah, this was another one that I wasn't able to get rid of, to be honest. I was never, or actually that's not true, I was a pretty big FIFA fan. I had FIFA 2003, I want to say, for PC. Definitely one of my first proper games that I ever got. Must have been a Christmas or a birthday present. It was fun for a while, like, and when I got back into gaming around the time when I got my PS3, they were just fun games to play with friends, and when someone came over, or if someone came over who was also into gaming, FIFA was always kind of a safe choice, because I don't play a lot of multiplayer games. I never really have. So yeah, that was an oddball, no pun intended, in my collection. There's no structure to my arranging that I'm going to be doing. Bear with me. Next, I suppose, just to get them over with, I have borrowed a few games from my best friend. So, yeah, this is Cyberpunk, obviously, which is a game I was pretty interested in around the time when it came out, but then obviously because of the less than ideal release, to put it lightly, I never got it. And then after it turned out that it was actually, or that it had become a very good game, I was always tempted to buy it, but I knew my friend had it. I think he bought it right after release. It's already installed, and I was planning to begin it sometime this week, but I didn't. It's installed. I have the PS5 upgrade also installed. So yeah, maybe sometime in the next few weeks I can begin it. I'm pretty hopeful about this game. I'm kind of worried I will fall into the hype again. But it should be good fun, a bit different from what I usually play with. Based on what everyone else is saying, it should be at least fun for one playthrough. Another one I got from my friend is Far Cry 5. I'm pretty sure back when I did the first games show and tell many years ago, I probably still had Far Cry 3 and 4 for PlayStation 3. I don't anymore, for obvious reasons. I don't have a PS3 anymore, and those games I was able to get rid of. It's kind of similar to Assassin's Creed, where I used to be really into some of the earlier games, specifically Far Cry 3 and 4. Those are the only ones I played. And I really enjoyed them at the time, but as with Assassin's Creed, they're like a bit cookie cutter without wanting to sound too negative about them, because they are popular games for a reason. I forget how many Far Cries there are. I think there's 6 plus Primal. I forget if Primal came out before 5. I think it did. But yeah, this one, Far Cry 5, looked a bit more Western, so to speak. And I really don't know too much about it. So I'm kind of looking forward to going into it mostly blind. But I expect it will be more of the same of what I know from Far Cry 3 and 4. Just taking out outposts and, cinematic stuff. A lot of gunfighting. I think you have a dog as well, but I'm not sure. So yeah, that's the second one from my friend. Number 3 is Spider-Man, which I tried once at my friend's, and I kind of didn't like it then. I don't know. I think I did part of some early game story mission just to get a feel for it and, get an idea if I would want to play it for myself. And I pretty much wrote it off, which is surprising because I like Spider-Man and I very much like the idea of the free roam with the web swinging and stuff. But the combat for some reason didn't really click then. However, after playing all but one of the Arkham games, in which I do like the combat quite a lot, I think maybe I've been converted a bit more to that style of combat. It's been too long and I forget, what the combat is actually like in Spider-Man, but it's more combo-based button mashing, I think. But again, it's just one of those games I want to have played once. And I've always found a reason not to buy it for myself, so this is just... It makes sense to borrow it and just play through it at least once. And the last borrow game, which is kind of a cool addition, is... Maybe take it out of this. Although it's a bit too dark. If I can show it a bit closer. No, it's a bit dark. I apologize again for the not so great video quality. But yeah, Dark Souls 3, the Apocalypse Edition, which I assume... this has all the DLCs as well, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm very... No, that's unfair. I'm pretty inexperienced in Soulsborne games. I've played a few Souls-likes, like Kena and, well, Elden Ring, which I still haven't finished after 2 or 3 years. I have Dark Souls Remastered for the Switch, but I think I got deterred pretty early on. Because I wasn't sure what to expect. I'd heard of Dark Souls games, obviously, but it's one thing to watch someone play it on YouTube or Twitch or wherever, but it's something else to actually play it. And yeah, I really like Elden Ring. It's been way too long since I played it, and I do plan to get back into it or possibly start over. I played it for like an hour sometime last year, but I forget where I was, but I think somewhere on the Altus Plateau, maybe. And yeah, it was just pretty intimidating to start at that point, because I lost all the muscle memory, and yeah, it was just intimidating. That said, I watched a full playthrough of Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne, for that matter, on Outside Extra with Luke and Ellen, and I had mixed feelings about it because I loved watching it. I wasn't sure if it would be a game that I would actually enjoy to play, because I get pretty frustrated easily. But I did find in Elden Ring that it's a different kind of frustration, and it feels less unfair than in other games. Like the difficulty, I mean. So yeah, I'm kind of curious what it will be like. I hope I don't remember too much from the Let's Play. But we'll see, I guess. I'm not sure when I will be starting this, but it might not be anytime soon. Then we have a couple of Lego games. Let's start with this one. There's honestly not that much to say about it because I haven't finished it yet. I think it might have been a present from my wife. I should remember, but it's also possible I just got it so we could play it with both of us. Also, I forgot to mention at the start that a lot of games that I really like the most I don't have on disc, so it's kind of awkward to show them. I didn't want to mess around with a capture card to show the menus on PlayStation because you can't record. I'm pretty sure at least that you can't record the menus with the internal recording software. You can only record games, so it would have just been a bit too much hassle. Yeah, so anyway, Lego The Hobbit. I bought or I received from my wife specifically to play together. It's pretty fun. It's been a long time since we played anything together. Even Stardew Valley or Spelunky 2, which we definitely played the most of all the games we played together. But yeah, it's just a nice Lego game. They're not too difficult, although I remember this one was a bit puzzling at times. I forget where we left off, but it's possible we're not even halfway yet, so yeah. Actually, maybe I should have started with the Harry Potter collection, because that was the first Lego game we played together. I think we got to year 4 or 5, and then she mostly lost interest, and so did I at the time. But I wanted to finish them because I enjoyed the collection aspect of it. Like the getting all the, the skins and the gold bricks and all that stuff. And I did complete everything in all the years. Probably with some help, because some things are just a bit too obscure. And when I'm going for a completionist kind of indulgence, there's always a point where I get a bit tired of it and I just want to get it done, so I start looking up guides and stuff. But yeah, they're also good games. They're a bit childish, but in kind of a fun way, I think. And the last ones I have on disc is the Marvel collection, which I haven't even started yet, so I can't say anything about it really. There was a short phase where I wanted to play all the Lego games and fully complete them all. So I bought this collection, obviously, and also DC Supervillains, which I don't have on disc. I did start Supervillains not too long ago, maybe 2 months ago, and I honestly didn't enjoy it that much. I'm not sure why, it's just the world is structured differently, because it's less about levels and more about an open world in which you have smaller sub-levels, I suppose. It's tricky to explain, but it just felt a bit boring, if I'm honest. So it's likely I'll never complete that one, and I won't start the Marvel games. The Hobbit I'd still like to complete someday. It might not be anytime soon. Okay, so that's those. Then, well, yeah, a bit dusty. This one, It Takes Two, I got from my wife for Christmas. I'm pretty sure Christmas or her birthday. I always forget. I remember telling her about this one when it was just out or about to come out, that it's really meant to be played with two people or co-op, you know. And since it's a couple in the game, it seems very much aimed at couples to play. And it was quite a lot of fun from what I remember, but when we got to the first boss, my wife pretty much dropped out because it was too difficult for her. It's not meant as a slag on her or whatever you want to call it, but she doesn't game much. She games very casually when she does. And even in a game like this, which you'd think would be very beginner friendly, there are some skills, I suppose, involved, which are pretty basic if you're familiar with gaming, but she isn't, so it was just, you know, I think even the platforming wasn't that easy for her, and yeah, she just didn't enjoy it as much as I thought she would. So this has been sitting unplayed. I'd still like to finish it sometime, but I need someone to play it with, and I don't have PlayStation Plus. If you can even play it online. I'm not sure if it's couch co-op only or also online. But yeah, it'll have to be with my friend because he's the only one, the only person I know who also games. I have a very small friend circle, as you might be able to tell. Yeah, I know it's a fun game. It's just finding someone to play it with. I haven't really structured these in any way, but this is Skater XL, which I got not long after it was officially released. And back then I played it quite a lot, but as you might be able to tell from my channel, it was very much surpassed by Session. I'm not really sure what I didn't like about Skater XL. It was just, some things didn't feel quite right, which made me curious about Session and in what ways it would be different or better or worse than Skater XL. I haven't played it in at least 2 years, I want to say, maybe more. Probably more, actually. Might be more like 4 years by now. I might still try it, but honestly, at this point I'm so committed to Session and so familiar with how that plays that I'm not sure I ever want to go back to Skater XL. Sticking with the skateboarding theme, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2. From memory, this was very much an impulse buy, because I wasn't even aware that this had come out. But I forget if I just saw it at my local game store and I bought it on a whim there, or I found out about it online and decided I wanted to try it. But either way, it was an impulse buy, like I said, and I had a lot more fun with it than I thought I would. I really loved all the Tony Hawk games I've ever played in my teens, which were Pro Skater 3, Underground 2, and American Wasteland. And yeah, I had a bit of money to spend and I felt nostalgic, I suppose. But it's really fun. It's a lot shorter than I thought it would be, which I think goes for many people. But then again, I don't think any of the games I played in the past were that much longer, because I don't know what it is, but I spent so much time playing those older games. I don't know how many playthroughs, but like 5 to 10 maybe. And for some reason, you just didn't mind back then that the game was short, because you just started playing it again a week later. So yeah, I went on a bit of a grind fest, no pun intended, with this one. I'm fairly sure I completed the story with all the characters, and I was trying to get all of the achievements done, but at some point it just became too much and I got interested in other stuff, and just it fell by the wayside. But yeah, there's not much more to say about this one. It's just good, nostalgic fun. Very different from Session, obviously, but fun in a different way. This one might have been in the first video as well. Just making sure it's nicely centered. Yeah, like I said, I don't remember if I discussed this in the previous or in the first games video. I'm fairly sure I did, but anyway, Horizon Zero Dawn doesn't really need an introduction. Actually, I suppose none of the games I'm showing require any introduction, because I don't play that many niche games. But yeah, it's a very good game. This is the worst review ever. It's not meant to be a review, even. Yeah, really loved it when I started it, but got a bit bored of it, and I didn't play it for at least 6 months, maybe even a year or longer, because some of the combat sections were a bit too difficult for me, and yeah, I don't know, I just got out of it completely and picked it back up a year or longer later. I finished the story on story mode just to get through it with as little resistance as possible, which I will admit takes away a lot of the fun, but I just wanted to finish it and I didn't really care about the difficulty, so it made sense. As good of a game as it was, I don't think it's as good as many people say it is. It looks very impressive. Especially at the time, it was one of the best games ever, or one of the best looking games I'd ever seen. But for some reason, the story didn't do anything for me. I don't remember being very invested after the first few hours. The combat was fun, but it just didn't really stick with me very well. I remember trying to get all the collectibles, like all the, what are they called? Like the data things and the artifacts or whatever they were called. I gave up on that because I just couldn't be bothered. I'm a bit puzzled because I can't find my copy of Forbidden West. I'm sure I had it on disc and not digital. It had slipped all the way to the back of the cabinet where I keep all my games. But yeah, Horizon Forbidden West. The first actual PS5 game that we're discussing. Not the first one I got, though, I'm pretty sure. Similarly to Zero Dawn, it's a very good game. Looks amazing. The gameplay overall is nothing to complain about. You can swim underwater and you can fly, so those are probably the biggest differences or biggest additions. If I had to pick one as my favorite of the two, I'm not sure I could choose, because Zero Dawn was special because it was so new and different at the time, and Forbidden West is just a bigger, better Zero Dawn, I guess you could say. In terms of story, neither of them were very memorable to me. I don't know why. I know they put a lot of effort in the story and the character animations and all of that, but even then the characters just seemed a bit robotic, which I guess kind of makes sense in context of the game. But yeah, I don't want to keep bashing these games too much because they don't deserve it, but I kind of am. I did enjoy both a lot. They're just not games I would want to play again anytime soon. Perhaps I should have thought about an order that made sense to go through them. But yeah, this is Shadow of Mordor, which was a present from my best friend. It took me many years to finally play through it. Because I got it, I think, in 2017, I guess. And I finished it, I want to say, early last year. So yeah, that's quite the span. I'm not even sure if I continued my first playthrough or I started a new one, but I think I started over because it was, just too long ago. I wanted to get back into it because the combat is very similar to the Arkham games, which I like. But again, I didn't like that much when I first got the game. And yeah, again, I don't want to bash any of these games too much because I had fun with all of them, really. But at some point I just wanted to get it over with And I enjoyed like the last third or last quarter of the game much less than the rest. I forget what I didn't like specifically, but just, I don't know, I think it got too repetitive, and I would have to agree with what most people say, that the final boss fight is kind of a letdown, which at the time I didn't even mind that much because I just wanted to get through it, and I was a bit relieved that it wasn't too difficult of a boss fight. So yeah, that's that one. Then, for no apparent reason, the Ghost of Tsushima. I've always said, ever since I played it, that it's one of my top 3 favorite games of all time. I'm not really sure if that's really accurate, but it's definitely up there. I'd say for sure, without a doubt, in the top 10, maybe top 5 even. It's just an excellent game. It doesn't try to do too much. The story is very good, the combat is very good. There are maybe more collectibles than necessary, but all of them, from what I remember, were fun to collect. So yeah, there's really nothing that comes to mind that I didn't like about this game. In fact, it's the only game of which I have a tattoo. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about this game, except if you haven't played it already, I think you should at least try it, especially with the Ghost of, what's it called, Yote coming out. I know less about that game than I should, considering how much I like Tsushima. I have no idea when that's coming out, but there's like 99% chance I will get it on release. Yeah, that's that. Then let's get Jedi Fallen Order. I've never played any Star Wars games, really. I forgot to mention when we were talking about the Lego games that I also have the Star Wars Skywalker thing from Lego, but not on disc. So yeah, anyway, Fallen Order, I forget how that even came onto my radar. Probably Game Ranks. And yeah, I got it pretty much on a whim. But it was a much better game than I was expecting it to be. It's just very nice combat. Again, a lot of collectibles, maybe too much or too many. But I did get them all in the end with the help of some guides. So I realized much too late that Cal Kestis is Ian from Shameless. I knew he looked familiar, but I couldn't place it. Also, I have Jedi Survivor, which I bought and played sometime last year, and which I suppose kind of like Forbidden West is just a bigger, better Fallen Order. Although I can't really pinpoint why, but I think I still prefer Fallen Order overall, because yeah, there were just frustrating things. I keep sounding more negative than I intend to. The story in both games is very good. I'm looking forward to the third one, actually. I'm not sure when that's coming out or if there's even anything known about it yet. But Fallen Order felt a bit more focused. I hate the map in both games. I really didn't like the force tears in Survivor. I got through them all, some of them by lowering the difficulty. In fact, most of them by lowering the difficulty. Because I wanted to have them done, but I didn't want to suffer through them. But yeah, both excellent games. Wiping the dust off. Next is Days Gone. Again, a really good game. I don't play many horror games, so I'm not... Like, this is a bit of an unfair statement, but Days Gone is and was one of the few games that actually scared me at times. You know, you can be impressed by things that are going on in the game and just kind of knocked back a bit, but it's rare that I actually feel dread while playing a game. And this pretty much did that because of the hordes. I can remember the first time you encounter a horde and it's just, you know, the music and the noises they make and just the sheer quantity of them is very intimidating. And I cheesed my way through I guess it was the biggest one, the one at the mill from the demos. I mean the gameplay reveals. Yeah, just a really good game, good story. The motorbike upgrades and maintenance you have to do is fun and not too tedious. From what I remember, the guns feel nice to shoot, so yeah. Again, not the best review, but just a good game. I'm gonna have to pick up the pace because my camera is about to run out of battery and I still have like 15 games to go through. Next is Hogwarts Legacy. If you're a Potterhead, this is arguably the best, I don't want to say the best game for you, but the best Potter universe experience game. Just roaming around Hogwarts, the castle, and flying around the world and using Revelio 10,000 times to get all the collectibles. I got all the Revelio pages except one because it was bugged, I think. I'm pretty sure. I'm confident I was at the right location, but it wouldn't show up. Then we have No Man's Sky, which I haven't played in too long, and the exact same thing is happening as what happened during my first playthrough. That I was really into it from the start, but then, I don't know, got distracted by other games and just got a bit lost in the game itself. Never really sure what to do except roam around and blast things and collect resources. I'm curious about the latest update though from a few weeks ago. So yeah, I want to try and get back into it and maybe make a few more videos of it, because it's been a long time since I did any. Then we have Elden Ring, my first FromSoft game. I mentioned it earlier, but yeah, I was very into it when I started playing it. It was in a way easier than I thought it would be, but still very challenging for me. Very rage-inducing often. And yeah, I forget why I even stopped playing it, but I think maybe I reached some kind of ceiling, or likely there were other games that I got into. And like I said, by now I lost all the muscle memory. And I think I would have to start over completely to enjoy it again. Then it's Dying Light 2. As with Days Gone, really, Days Gone and Dying Light are the only two games I own that I would actually call horror. Maybe Soma as well. Yeah. But you know, this game also gave me some real fear at times. In a cool way. Like, it's a good game. It's not one I'm likely to play again anytime soon or ever. I think I bought into some of the criticisms about it, that it's not as good as the first game, and they kind of, you know, lost some of the essence of what made the first game good, which I can't say for myself because I never played the first one, but I can see how that would be true. It's a good game. The parkour is a lot of fun. At times frustrating when it doesn't really work properly, but most of the time it felt good to just run and jump around and glide around the city. I'm sure you had a glider, but I'm not 100% sure. Then we have Red Dead Redemption 2, which for sure is one of my top 5 favorite games. Played through it twice, which is not that much for a top 5 game. I've only played through Tsushima once, so that's not a metric. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure you know about this game. I'm sure you know why it's so beloved. It's maybe the game where I get immersed in the world the most, just because everything feels so real and natural. Like, there's no, well, there probably is some fantasy, but it's a very real feeling world. And it's one of the rare games for me where I can just walk around for a long time, just enjoying the weather, really. That sounds a bit sad, but it's the truth. And then we have The Witcher 3. This is the third copy of the game that I owned. I got it for PS4 when it was just out, basically. But I got rid of it. I traded it at the game store. Then I received it as a gift from a friend on Steam, but I didn't get very far in that playthrough. And I don't know, maybe 2 years ago, 3 years, I bought it again for PS4 because I was back into playing PS4 games. For sure, one of my top 10 favorite games of all time, maybe top 5. After the first playthrough, it was my all-time favorite game. But yeah, you all know this one. It's a very lively feeling world. The combat, in my opinion, feels great. Geralt is just a fun character to play as, and I'm very much looking forward to the next one, despite all the complaints about Ciri, which I don't agree with. And then we have Death Stranding, which I've done a few videos of. Took me a long time to properly get into this game, as it does for most people, from what I read. It's a very slow grind. It's hard to explain. I really had to learn to enjoy walking and running around without getting too worried about planning my next delivery and stuff, and just take a delivery, any delivery, enjoy doing it, and then move on to the next one. That was, for me at least, the trick, kind of. And then we have Plague Tale Requiem. I did play the first game first. I had heard about Plague Tale Innocence, that it was a very good game and very underrated. So I gave it a shot and really loved it. Might also even be one of my top 10 favorite games, just because it was so surprisingly good and engaging, and I've really come to enjoy linear games more, because it's, in my opinion, it's kind of easy to prefer open world games because of the supposed freedom you have and there being so much to do and to see. But often open world games tend to lack some focus. And it's that focus that I've really come to appreciate in recent years. Apologies about the sudden change of camera, basically. My camera battery died, so I'm switching to my phone, because it's only a few more games. But yeah, as I was saying, I was very pleasantly surprised by Plague Tale Innocence, and Plague Tale Requiem is just, again, just a bigger, better Innocence. It's hard to say which one I actually prefer of the two, because they're both great games, and I honestly forget a lot of Innocence, but I think, from what I remember, the story in Requiem is just a bit more intense and scaled up. But if you want to play both, I do recommend starting with Innocence, because Requiem very much builds on the first game. Then we have Kingdom Come Deliverance, which you've heard quite a bit about from me. The monk has come down and is being a bit noisy, so apologies. Yeah, like with Death Stranding, this wasn't an easy game to get into, but when it clicked very hard, even more so than Death Stranding did. And at this point, after finishing it, I would pretty confidently say that it's very likely the best RPG I've ever played. Like the best real RPG. Just because the game gives you so much freedom and, well, I say freedom. You have a lot of freedom in choosing how to tackle quests. If you want to be honest or dishonest or stealthy or Rambo style. And there's no right or wrong way to do things. It's just different approaches lead to different outcomes, which can in some cases very much change the whole outcome. By now the sequel is out, which I haven't bought yet. I will get it at some point, but I'm just not sure when, because I have a few more games that I want to play first. And yeah, a full price PlayStation game isn't cheap, so I think I'm gonna wait just a bit until maybe it comes down a little bit, or until I actually can afford it without feeling guilty. Then we have Mafia, the definitive edition. The original Mafia was, at the time, my all-time favorite game. I know I say that a lot. Looking back, it was a pretty terrible game. Like the gunplay wasn't that great. Maybe it was for the time, but I tried replaying it many years later and it just wasn't the same. But yeah, as different as this remake is, today it's very likely the one I would recommend instead of the original. None of the characters look the same, which was a bit jarring at first because I was familiar with how they looked in the original. But once you get over that, it's not really an issue. And just gameplay wise, it's so much better. Like the stealth sections, limited as they may be, are just much more enjoyable. The checkpoint system is much more forgiving, which you might not like, but it's just less annoying. The city still feels great to drive around in and take taxi missions and stuff. And you have bikes now, motorbikes. So yeah. I might replay this at some point. Probably not anytime soon, but it's one I would like to play again. And then, with only 4, well, I say 4 games, I mean 4 boxes left to go. We have Uncharted Nathan Drake Collection. I don't remember much of these games. I only played them once, because I bought Uncharted 4 first when that was just out. And then a few years later I got the collection of the first 3, which I also liked, some more than others. I think they definitely get better overall. The first one was much more clunky to play. The second one was better. The third one I might actually like better than the fourth one. But yeah, again, it's been too long. would also like to replay those again. And they're a very good example of how linear games, they're just a good example of linear games with still pretty open sections. Then we have Uncharted 4 with the price tag still on. I was very much impressed by this one. Very likely at the time when I got it, and after I played through it for the first time, it was up there in my top favorite list. Yeah, not much to say about this one. It's been a very long time since I played it. I do want to play through all 4 of them in order. I don't have Lost Legacy, but I did borrow that from a friend. From my best friend. And I liked it more than I thought I would, from what I remember. It's just, I thought it would be, not as fun because it's not with Nathan. But in its own right, it's still a very good game. And Thief's End, it looked amazing when it came out. I'm sure it still does today. The story is very great. The climbing and puzzle sections are fun. I remember it being pretty difficult combat-wise. I have never played them on the higher difficulties. So I don't think that's a challenge I really need. But just all 4 of them are good games in their own right, but especially 3 and 4 I really enjoyed. Second to last is The Last of Us. Somewhat ironically, I haven't played this version yet, because when I was talking about games that I returned in exchange for store credit, this is the game that I bought with that store credit. I played it on PS3 first a few times, maybe 3 times. I can't really say if the remastered version is actually that much better, but I expect it will be. And this and the next and last game are definitely ones I want to play again sometime soon. But I might not be able to because of time restrictions and too many other games. But once again, one of my top 5 favorite games of all time. For obvious reasons. Just excellent story, good combat, pretty good stealth. But you play this game for the story mostly, not as much for the gameplay, although the gameplay itself is very good as well. And lastly for today is The Last of Us Part 2. I played through this only once, but like I said, I'd like to revisit as soon as I can, basically. I'm pretty sure there were complaints about, Ellie and I forget her name, Abigail. I'm not 100% sure that's her name. But, just being able to play as both characters a lot, I think was a very nice idea and well executed. I remember realizing way too late that you visit the same places with both characters at different times. It was only at the very end, or towards the very end. I forget exactly how it happens, but there's one situation where it's very much unavoidable to notice that Ellie was somewhere before and then you were there with Abby, and it was just all starting to come together. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to choose a favorite of the two games. That is, the first one logically is the more nostalgic one, just because it made such an impression as well. Whereas the second one, you knew more what to expect, and you pretty much knew that it was going to be great. But still, yeah, just both really amazing games. And with that, we have come to the end. There are a few obvious games missing, like SnowRunner, Isaac Session, Fallout 4. Many others. I forget how many games I have digitally, but I'd say it's close to as many as I have physical games. But yeah, then this video would be twice as long still, so it's maybe for the better that I can't go through them. So yeah, I'm gonna try and not wind out my end bit too long. I hope you found this, enjoyable, relaxing, entertaining, informative in whatever way. Thank you very much for watching and for listening, as always, and I will talk to you next time. Bye-bye.